I call to order the regular planning board meeting for October 18th, 2022 to order at 6:04. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, also we have a hybrid Zoom in-person meeting this evening. So with the Governor Baker's relaxation of the open meeting law, all votes will be taken by roll call. And the meeting will be run under those rules and regulations. Do we have any public comment for any item other than what's on the agenda this evening? Not seeing any, I'll move to the minutes of September 13th, 2022. You have your minutes in front of you tonight, and also they were in your packet, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. Do I have any comments, additions, subtractions, corrections from any of the board members?
I make a motion, we accept them as printed.
Okay, very good. I have a motion from Les Goodrich. Do I have a second?
I second it.
That being Amanda. Okay, I'll give you a second to look over it. You're all ready. I know.
I've read them already.
And we also, well, we're pretty well on time, so. Okay, very good. If anybody has had a chance, and if they don't have any corrections to the minutes, I'll call the vote. Amanda Phillips.
Aye.
Les Goodrich.
Aye.
Art Armenta.
Aye.
Burton Gould. Aye, he says. He indicates, and I vote aye also. Guy Corbacero. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the A&R of Jameson Way. You have it in front of you, and I also think it was passed out to you. Do we have anybody representing this item?
I do not see the applicant in the audience.
Okay, very good. Then could you comment on this, Nicole?
I can. So the owner of 89 Hale Street, Joseph and Christina Rosa, are keeping that existing piece of land to which their home is on 89 Hale, and they also own the land on Jameson Way, which is identified as Lot A, and they are removing the lot lines and creating one big lot for a future home that they're going to build.
Okay, very good. So basically the same owners of both lots, they're
Correct.
just adjusting the lot line. Do I have any questions from any board members?
I don't have that.
Oh, here you go.
Are the Roses here?
No, they're not.
Okay.
So you can't ask any questions?
No.
Can't ask a question?
No,
I think we have an agreement on this board that anybody who submits anything like this has to appear when the matter is on the agenda.
okay, very good.
He was advised of the meeting date and time.
What's that?
He was advised of the meeting date and time.
Okay, actually, do we have to do action on this within a certain number of days, or can we continue it once we started actions?
I believe we should do action on it this evening.
Okay, under the 25 or 28 days. So, I guess, you know, even though we want it, the question is, do we want to approve this or reject it, or have it, if we reject it, if we don't vote on it, it will be a, what's the term I'm looking, constructive approval.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Gould.
Well, we make some people come in who submit these things, then why not everybody? You know, this was a vote of the board several months ago that if you have anything on the agenda, you need to show up. I mean, there shouldn't be any questions on this. But if there is, the next thing we're going to hear from is their lawyer.
Yeah. Well, the point I'm getting at, Mr. Gould, is if we postpone this for 2 weeks, they will automatically be approved.
Well, then something slipped through the cracks here.
Yes. We can reject it.
I mean, what's fair for
go up And
one,
then have them resubmit it, but it's a pretty simple item.
well, I mean, but what's fair for one should be fair for
Oh,
everyone.
absolutely, and Nicole did tell them they need to be there. And
Yes.
we ought to double check, make sure that we can't just continue these things.
Not your fault.
But for this evening, I'd rather err on the side of making, so they won't get constructive approval.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Any questions of Nicole? And as Mr. Gould pointed out, this is pretty simple. They're just moving a lot line, same owners of the same
Same
lot.
owners.
They're not
Yeah.
changing anything.
No, they're just making one big piece of land.
Yeah. So, do I have a motion to, what is the exact term that we want?
Endorse the A and R.
To endorse this A and R or to not endorse it?
Do what, do what?
To endorse it, to approve it.
Don't want real fair.
Or do we do no action and just let it be a constructive approval?
I'll make a motion to endorse the A and R as presented.
Okay, very good. And do I have a second? If not, I'll second it. Okay, I will second the endorsement. Do I have any more questions?
No.
No? Okay, I'll call the roll. Amanda Phillips.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Okay, great.
So they're not here, and if we don't approve it, it will get approved anyways? Is that my understanding?
Well, what it is, an A and R, they submit it, and we have 25 days.
What do they say?
If 25 or 28 days, I'd have to go look it up, to act on it. If we do not act on it, then they automatically receive a constructive approval. Now, the question is here, that we started discussion on it, and I think this is something we're gonna have to have Nicole check with Ty and Bond, whether we can continue it, and that stays the 25 or 28-day approval, or does it automatically get approved after that number of days, whether we continue it or not? So that's the question. I don't know the answer. I don't think we have anybody that knows the answer, Mr. Gould.
If you vote no, he's going to have to come back.
Yeah, you have to resubmit it.
I just have a question. Shall I see if I can just get a hold of the applicant and maybe push this to the end of the agenda and maybe give them an opportunity to come in? They perhaps forgot.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Why don't you do that?
Sure.
And why don't, will you, and why don't we just move this vote till the end of the meeting? See if they come in, and
Yep.
maybe we might be able to get an answer on what we do. Is that fine with you?
Yes.
You made the motion.
Yes.
Okay, so the exact term, I can't tell you, but we will visit this after the 3 items that we have to deal with.
Yep, that sounds fair.
And that's a question we need to get answered anyway.
Brian's calling him. Yeah. All right.
Oh, okay, very
Yep,
good.
He's,
Now, okay, next item on the agenda is, wait, I moved my agenda over here. Is continuation of the public hearing for the Commercial Drive subdivision. This item had been opened in a previous meeting and continued to tonight, so we do not need to read the hearing notice. Could the people or the applicant that are speaking for the applicant please come up and tell us about your project? and introduce yourself, and I think you might have, do they have a sign-in sheet up there?
I'll have to go grab one.
Okay, well, before the end of the night, if you could introduce yourself and
Great.
go ahead.
Patrick Bogle from Howard Stein Hudson. I'm here on behalf of my applicant, who's David Clark, but the property is owned by the Winchton Redevelopment Authority. So to give a brief overview of the property, since I know this is although we are continuing, this is the first time being before this board. The property is located at off Commercial Drive, which is, Commercial Drive is off of Route 140. The property is attached to an existing 50-foot wide easement here next to the Milek, which is right here. And it comes into the property, and the property is approximately, approximately 68 acres, and is adjacent to both, is abutted by both Bemis Road and the rail trail. We're proposing a dead-end cul-de-sac that will come off of, as I mentioned, Commercial Drive, enter the property and snake between the existing wetlands that are on the site. As you can see here, the wetlands are delineated as this different color. And the road is proposed to weave kind of in and out of the existing wetlands and kind of match the topography to the best of the ability. There is one proposed wetland crossing in this small skinny area here. It's around 1,592 square feet of impact, and we're proposing the appropriate replication areas on either side. There is one potential vernal pool located here, which we are kind of snaking through here, and the cul-de-sac is dead-ending about 60% of the way into the proposed, the existing parcel. There's 4 proposed parcels on the site, each meeting the zoning requirements for lot frontage, yard area, etc. And this presentation plan shows some proposed septic areas, but they're not designed. They're just for visual purposes only, showing that we would need septic designs for each lot, and show those before for each site design. We have three drainage areas for the road, infiltration ponds, and drainage runs associated with each one. And then I have some more detailed plans, which kind of go through more the in-depth of things such as the landscaping. Oops, sorry. Things like fire hydrant locations, utility poles, pavement widths, etc. Those are all broken down through the entire plan set onto 4 sheets for the entire subdivision to show more clarity and all of the materials, etc. on the layout materials plans, grading and drainage plans, utility plans, and then there's a full plan of profiles.
Could I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yeah.
I know we have an audience here. Is anybody uncomfortable? He's presenting to us and you guys are not seeing it. Is there anybody that would like him to move maybe to the side so everybody can see it? If not, I'll just have him continue and you can kind of follow on what's on the screen. Not seeing any objections? Please continue.
Okay, sorry. I know these were submitted electronically, but I probably should have had you put them up, and so I could have gone through them while you were on the board as well. So that's basically it. Just the whole plans were submitted. They go through all of the criteria that you have there, and we have submitted to Ty and Bond, gone through a peer review, issued comments, and last Thursday, I believe it was, we went to Conservation Commission and received an approval through them. So I'd love to hear any feedback, comments, answer any concerns you have.
First, what we're gonna do, I want to ask you, Concom, you went through them, you said you did get approval,
Yep.
but there were also some caveats they put on that, or conditions as far as things that they wanted you to do.
Yep.
Could you expound on that a bit, as far as your time frame on that? Because as I understand it, they want you to do a bunch of things before construction. And I think that might be something we might be going to hear.
Yeah, so as part of the, some of the comments that came back, it was just some items that were listed within the regulations as far as things like retaining wall designs and items such as that nature, which a lot of times is standard design items that get submitted as specs and full designs that you would incorporate within the proposed road, and other things such as borings, et cetera, for slope stability. Now, this, as a permit sheet, would satisfy the requirements, and then a contractor would submit things such as retaining wall designs, and those would be project-specific, and you would just see that it meets what's spelled out within these design plans, and then you would say, yes, that meets the design intent, and sign off on those. And the condition of approval was that they be peer-reviewed, third-party peer-reviewed by Ty and Bond. I would probably look at them myself, Ty and Bond would look at them, and they would sign off and say that these do meet the design intent prior to construction.
And this is all prior to construction?
Yeah,
Okay, that's
post-approval.
what I understood, but I just wanted clarification on that.
Post-approval prior to construction, for sure, yep.
Okay, very good, because we have some other things here we're going through. The usual procedure is, if any questions from the board members, then Ty and Bond's comments, and they have 8 pages of comments here. We go through each one. But that is also Concom's, some of Concom's items, so we won't need to do it, but we will be going on each one. And the gentleman, Tim, from Ty and Bond is here, and at the time, I'll have him come up as we're going through this, and, if we have any discussions, we can get his input and your input.
Sure.
Okay, very good. Do I have any questions from any board
I
members?
got a
before-
ton.
Go for it, Mr. Gould.
First of all, this is a lousy plan to come before a board with it. You've got 2 pica type in explanations on it. You don't have Route 140 here, you don't have any elevations, and so on and so forth. So I got about 40 questions.
A full 43-sheet plan set was submitted to you, which has
Well,
layout
I know,
materials.
but you're looking for our approval, you ought to have something on here that we can understand. I'm 80-odd years old and I can't read anything you got on here. You don't have any elevations on here. I mean,
If I may, so the plans that were dropped off previously are very similar to the ones that are here, the big set of plans.
well, I didn't see them. That's not your fault. Okay. Now, for example, you've got Bemis Road. What's the elevation on Bemis Road?
$1,210 is the highest, and it goes all the way down to around 1178.
It's
1178.
1209 on the SGS maps. I've got one here, so you might want to take a look at that. Now, how about on 140? What's the elevation there?
I don't know if I have the exact elevation at 140, but I do have,
Okay, how about 1,000 feet? My concern is water runs downhill, and I'm not an engineer, and so forth. And I am concerned basically about the gas station across the street. I'm concerned about Mileck, and I'm concerned about the neighbors. And if you walk down in the old railroad bed, You might find a couple things down there that will surprise you. I'm going to vote no in this thing because, in my opinion, this is a lousy job. You know, and I don't mind telling anybody, I think it's a lousy job. You know, I'd like to see the town go ahead. I'd like to see you people up here. You got to do a better job to get my vote.
Okay, if I may, we did submit a full drainage design, which went through all of the.
Well, okay, how about a set of plans so we can take a look at elevations and so we can take a look at, I mean, where's Milek on this plan?
Milek is depicted. Right here. This is-
Okay,
this is the
fine,
Milek.
but this is what I got. And this is 2 pica type printing. Can't read it.
If you would like me to drop you off another set of the plans that were submitted on 9/9, I'd be happy to drop you off another set.
I'm gonna vote on the plan, not what you say.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Gold.
oh, I'm not done yet, but I'll
Okay,
give somebody
well,
else a
we'll-
chance.
We've got another probably 45 minutes, so we got plenty of time for you
I'll give
to
somebody else a chance.
ask more questions.
This is baloney.
Okay, anybody else on the board? And public, after we go through all these review comments from Ty and Bond, I'll go for public comment because a lot of the questions might be answered before we get to the end. So instead of having your question up front, we'll go to the end. Okay, very good. Let's see what we got here. Am I missing a sheet there on this one? Yes. So in the meantime, Tim, could you come up and maybe take a microphone? That way, this is Timothy Grace, project engineer from Ty and Bond. Okay, I'll get my sheets over here. Okay, so what I
Tim.
hope to do here is go through the Ty and Bond comments. You commented back, and they commented back against, again you. Again you, okay. Not the right words, but,
Your comments are double-sided, too.
okay,
They're all there.
very good. Well, I'm using my copies that I made my notes on, so, since they're the same thing. Item 1, this is to deal with the road length. Sheet 2 indicates that the proposed roadway is approximately 2,350 feet in length. Our subdivision regulations requires that roadways that exceed 500 feet include 2 or more regular exit to public ways. You're asking for a waiver on this. Myself, I have no problem with this because it is going to a commercial unit or commercial units. Originally, when we put that in, the thought was more for housing developments. Now, do I have any comments from any of my board members on this one? Yes, no. So this is something you're asking for a waiver on. Actually, for waivers, did you submit a list of waivers that you wanted, or are they just included in this? And should Nicole keep track of it at this time?
I submitted them within here. I didn't see any sort of formal waiver
Okay.
sheet.
Okay, so we have to keep them because actually we'll have to go over these things after we close the hearing. So let me put this over and item 1, waiver. Because once we close the hearing and discuss it, that's when we'll decide whether we want to grant you the waiver or not. Okay, then we go to item 2, which is bike lanes required. Actually, on this project, on the original project, we did not feel it was necessary to have bike lanes for the original development, and I don't think we should need to continue to force you to have a bike lane that goes from nowhere to nowhere. So myself, you're asking for a waiver on that. I have no problem with that, but again, do I have any comments, questions from any of our board members? If not, we'll move on to item 3. And this one here, item 3, proposed roadway does not appear to meet the requirements specified in section 410 of the subdivision regulations. Now, this is a commercial industrial street, or categorized under commercial industrial, where you supposed to have 80 feet of right-of-way, and shoulders 8 feet. But these seem to, what you have here seems to want more of a primary residential street. Now, my personal feelings is that this is just traffic to and from, at the moment, one facility. That's just work crews, times come in. So I don't see that we need to have strict adherence to the commercial industrial streets specifications. And I also noticed when you said it, that your right-of-way that you were given to get to this property was only 50 feet. So it would be, and that's something I don't think anybody, if I remember the original discussion in this, that anybody wanted to give up more than 50 feet when they were going to put a gym in there. That was 15 years ago, but so my memory might be a little lax. And shoulders, now, shoulders on this, is there a 2-foot shoulder? I did not see the exact markings on the plan, or is there no shoulder and just the travel lanes? So in other words, is the paved area just 22 feet wide?
It's a 24-foot wide road with then a curb.
Okay, so that it, basically, so you're having a 1-foot, what I would call breakdown lane on either side.
Yeah.
You know, because if I'm not mistaken, your road lane width
correct.
is 12 feet or 11 feet?
They're 12 feet.
12 feet, okay,
it's
so
curved,
that's actually
yeah.
a bit over the specification.
Yeah, it's
But with no,
24 curved.
no
and then-
breakdown lane, but I don't think we need a breakdown lane on that. Also, the one item, if I'm not mistaken, with this part of it is curbing, sidewalks, curbing. You want to eliminate sidewalks, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And do you have a reason why?
Well, a lot of it was driven by, we didn't really think people were going to be walking and traversing the length of this road due to the type of uses that would be here, as well as reducing overall impact. I did talk about that crossing through that area, which would reduce the overall impact if you had less overall, roadblocks, which would include the sidewalk and any, it's sometimes pretty tight between different wetlands on either side. So to reduce that and try to be more conscientious to the overall wetlands on the site, we were trying to reduce the overall pavement box there.
Do you have any? Also, I think within this, you want to use a Cape Cod berm instead of granite curbing.
Yep.
Okay, and so you're asking for a waiver on that. Also, the one other item on that, minimum pavers and curbing type. So I think that covers it. So you're asking for a waiver from 410, and you will be using Cape Cod berm. You will not be using granite curbing and no sidewalk. Is that the waiver that you're looking for?
That is correct.
Okay, any comments from you, Tim, on that?
No, I defer to the board. If everyone's okay with that, I take no issue with it.
Okay, very good, and if I'm not mistaken, I did speak to DPW earlier, and just want to confirm that you do not have any problems with this.
I have no issue with the Cape Cod berm as long as the berm is backed up in the correct fashion so that you have a foot or 2 feet of dirt behind it to lock it in. It's set on the base course. I'm happy with that.
Sounds good.
I have one question on that.
Okay, very good.
Being Cape Cod berm, okay?
Yeah.
I understand, okay? And I agree with Brian. but I think that there should be, when there's issues, stipulations, it should be checked every year to make sure it wasn't damaged or beat up, and and fixed if it's beat up. Because after a while, Cape Cod berm will just be pushed out of the way, and people say, the heck with it. But it needs to be fixed, it needs to be look good all the way down through there.
If they use the more of the modified berm, so it's the wider Cape Cod berm, it's a lot more resilient, takes a lot more of the plows, so on and so forth. So I would recommend the bigger, more flatter Cape Cod berm, because the plows right up and over them. You don't really catch them as much, so that would be my recommendation on that. But I do agree, if berms start getting broken out, then they need to be replaced, because that's the only thing that's keeping the stormwater in check.
So you'll make your Cape Cod berm a little more of a slant on it, or less of a slant, I should say, than some of the berms we see that are almost at a 45 degree. I know I'm on Route 12, they put a Cape Cod berm there. 3 years now, the plows have not even scratched it.
No.
So I do see where they do work when they've got the right angle to them.
Okay, we are showing the 1 foot wide one instead of the 9 inch, which I think is standard. So you will get a bit more shallow of an angle for the same height.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any questions on that? I'll move on to item 4. Sedimentation markers are required in all ponds as per section 411.3 of the subdivision regs. That comment's been closed. I noticed down here. I have a check mark, so the plans do not include monuments to define the proposed roadway outlet. Monumentation is required per section 413.9 of the subdivision regulations. Now, they have been proposed, but there's one comment in here from Ty and Bond in which I find that a metal bar should be installed at the exact location of boundary points. Are you planning to do that? That is comment 5.
Was there an additional set of revisions to these comments? Like, was there a comment back to my comments?
That Ty and Bond's comments back to your comments.
I don't know if I've received those. So.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, what they're saying is that a metal bar should be installed at the exact location of the boundary point. And I've found over the years with different properties that that is the best way to find the point, is a metal bar in the ground, and find that metal bar and you have the right location where markers can be moved. Bars can be moved, but it's a lot more difficult. Would you be amenable to putting in bars at the boundary points?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay,
but-
very
yeah.
good. Okay, so I guess we got that. The trees, now we go on to 6, which is the trees. I guess you don't have Ty and Bond's comment that, and I will read it to you and see what you have to say on that, Tim. Ty and Bond defers to the planning board for this request. Your request is a waiver for the trees, but their comments are, although it should be noted that the species specified on the revised plan, red sunset maple, shag hickory, and pine oak, are not appropriate as street shade trees due to their height, root requirements, and salt sensitivity. The consultant should provide tree belt plantings in accordance with Boston Transportation Department's complete street guidelines and UMass Amherst planning for resiliency. For trees near or under utility poles, the consultant should refer to Eversource's 30, under 30 for appropriate species. What's your comment in regards to that?
This is specific to the street trees that we're proposing?
If I'm not mistaken, is that correct, Tim?
Correct. Yeah, so essentially this comment is that, we take no issue with a waiver being issued for the landscaping plan, but the trees that were proposed aren't appropriate for this area. I mean, there's a 3-foot wide grass strip. Presumably the road's gonna get heavily salted, so it's really important in cases like this to propose a tree that's actually gonna survive. The shagbark hickory, the pine or pin oak, and the red sunset maple don't thrive in environments like that. So we're just suggesting that they use, there's actually 3 references in there that are really good. Boston Transportation Department's Complete Streets Guidelines, UMass Amherst Planting for Resilience, and then because there's overhead wires proposed in this development, we suggest consulting with Eversource's 30 under 30, where they actually pick species of trees that will thrive under an overhead line. So again, we don't take any issue with waiving the landscaping requirements. We just think that the particular plantings that they're proposing should be appropriate for the area.
Okay, very good. Actually, how do you feel in regards to that?
We have no issue with deferring to, one of those
Okay,
spec guys.
so that
for-
can be an item that can be settled before you begin construction.
Sure. And
Okay.
the intent of this was to just kind of give some options for different street trees, and I have no issue with either one of these spec guides that was referenced in, I guess, the reply to the comment.
Okay, very good.
Is there a minimum caliber on the trees set?
Is there, this is so they can have. Yeah, those are the comments. Is there a minimum caliber that, of trees you're planting, or did you specify on the plans? I did not see it, but then again, we were working off of electronic versions, and we're a whole bunch of old guys that don't deal with electronics well.
We had showed all 2-inch caliber for the trees that we,
3-inch caliber, how does that?
2-inch, 2-inch.
2-inch.
2 inches standard, thank you.
Okay, very good, thank you.
yeah.
Okay, very good. So I think we've settled on 6. 6 we have a waiver for, so that's 3 waivers so far we've discussed? Okay, very good. 7, retaining walls are proposed throughout the site, but plans do not include profile plans, soil analysis. Time bond defers to the planning board for this request and has no concerns with making this a condition of approval. Now, I'm going back to your comments. I kind of skipped a little. The project has added this requirement as a formal waiver request. Howard Stern Hudson requests that this requirement be made a condition of approval. My question on that is, are you asking for a waiver, or is this requirement meant for a condition of approval? Because that kind of,
Yeah, I
wondered
think,
if the cut and paste got in the wrong spot.
yeah, it'd be a condition of construction, and I think we were looking to,
Okay, so you're not looking for a waiver, it's just a condition?
yeah, we were just looking to defer, basically.
Okay, very good. Had a little, okay, item 8, comments closed. Proposed final cover types, pavement, gravel, grass. You've decided on that. 9, to do with stormwater regulations. Those comments have been closed, meaning that you satisfactorily addressed it. And also, some of these things you've dealt with COMCOM on before, so we're not dealing with. Okay. Catch basins are to be built, item 10. Catch basins are to be built with granite curb inlets as per section 818E of the stormwater regulations. Now, you're requesting a waiver on this, and you'd be basically doing the Cape Cod berm also, instead
Yeah.
of the granite. Just a comment that I am a fan of when you have street openings, to have granite curbing there so that the plows don't turn up. So when you come back to us with your building, I would be advocating curb cuts use the 90-degree granite on that.
And even at Commercial Street as well.
Yes,
That Commercial Street.
yeah, the curb
I'll
cuts,
drive it myself, I agree with you. And
okay.
just for the record, I'm David Clark, I am the applicant.
Okay, very good. Thank you, David. Okay, good. So that is, now, are you asking for a waiver for that, or are you going to deal with that? Or,
At the catch basins, we would like to remain with Cape Cod, with Cape
with the
Cod berm.
waiver on the Cape Cod burn, so that's 10, you're looking for a waiver. Okay, but when it comes to the curb cuts for the buildings and that, when you come back with the plans, you'll have the
Yep,
granite.
Yep.
Okay, great. Now, we got 11 comments to deal with the three-sided culvert design. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, A, B, C, and A and B have been dealt with at COMCOM. Okay, C, soil borings, that's been dealt with at COMCOM, has it?
Yes.
I know that Time Bond defers request has no concerns with making this a condition of approval. And that is one of the conditions that COMCOM made,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken? Okay, retaining walls, you dealt with those as far as COMCOM's concerned. Time Bond defers to the planning board,
Yeah.
and the planning board defers to COMCOM.
Yeah.
For me, anyway. If anybody has any comments on this, please speak up. Okay, item 12, snow storage area. This comment is closed. I guess you came to some agreement on that. Fire hydrants is the next one. Oh, excuse my fingers. That's closed. Comments that I know when speaking with our director of DPW, he had no problem with the fire hydrants. Also for comment, he has commented on these as far as the fire department is concerned. Chief Smith handed over to him, as I understand, the duty of commenting for the fire department, and they have no comments.
Great.
Not mistaken, just to throw that in there. 14, comments closed. In other words, when I say comments closed, most of these are to do with Conservation Commission has already dealt with them. If you see something here that I pass over, please speak up. 16, comments closed. And then we go on to 17, and these following comments pertain to comments of the supplementary data report. 17, comments closed. 18, comments closed. 19, comments closed, so that means Time Bonds accepted your explanation, for lack of a better word. 20, comments closed. And any board members see anything here you want to discuss, please interrupt me. 21, stormwater regulations for sizing calculations, comment closed. 22, comments closed. Excuse me, getting a little dry. There, 22, if I didn't already mention that, comments closed. Now I have here the volume, Captain Master Hornbook handbook, the supplementary drainage report shows that, and these are Time Bonds comment, basically, are exceeded for the 100-year event. You dealt with this one at COMCOM?
Yeah, this one was
Now,
Before the
23, do you have
conservation.
any comment on this one, Tim?
Yeah, this is essentially the basins have to get a scotch bigger. What they're showing is for the 100-year event that the water level gets right up to the top of the basin and the stormwater regs and then the Winchton. So the Mass stormwater regs and the Winchton stormwater regs say that we need a foot of freeboard between the top of the basin and the top of the water level at the 100-year event. So It's not a huge deal, but there's, I think it's all 3 basins, just need to get a scotch bigger to accommodate that.
Yeah, so I'm still a little confused with that, because basin number 1, peak elevation 1103.8, berm elevation 1105, so that's more than a foot of freeboard.
Yeah, but that's to the berm, not to the overflow. So that water is gonna actually go back in through the system rather than give us the foot of freeboard.
Yeah, but the freeboard is to the berm.
Yeah, the freeboard is to the berm unless you have like an emergency outlet. So you're basically using that emergency outlet or that spillway in the 100-year event. You see what I mean? Like the 100-year, the foot of freeboard, as the mass regs say, is to account for uncertainty in the design. So between that overflow elevation and then the standing water level is supposed to be a foot. And so in these events, you're actually passing water out of what's the emergency spillway.
Yeah, we'll have to just kind of go back and forth with this on, I can respond.
And I mean, you're right there anyway. It's like these basins get a scotch bigger and you'll be fine. It's what are we talking, point two, I think it is? 0.2 of a foot, so if these things grow a tiny little bit, they'll be fine.
Okay, so that's something that,
I could just
discuss
submit back
before
to him.
construction and we
Yeah.
get agreement on.
Yep.
And we'll have Nicole as the referee.
Brian's here.
What?
Brian's gonna,
Oh,
What-
Brian, go ahead.
What's the diameter of the basins?
I'm sorry?
What's the diameter? What's the diameter and the height? So if they were 4s and they went to 5, it would put them in compliance, is what you're saying?
It's something like that. It is truly that minor, yeah.
That's a minor change.
Yeah.
To go from a 4-foot basin to a 5-foot round basin. So it's,
No, and I could adjust the spillway elevation by 0.2
Yeah.
as well. And
Right.
this would be,
Doesn't sound like anything you get in a fist fight over.
no, not at all, no. This is just, I could submit the information back to him and satisfy the
Okay,
comment.
very
Yep.
good, as long as we have resolution of that before we're going. Okay, that's page 6, we go to page 7. Acknowledged for 24, comments closed. 25, comments closed. 26, there is a big comment from Tim here on what 26 is, the mounding analysis for all infiltration ponds. You said they've been revised, and he made another comment here, and if I'm not mistaken, as his last line here, Time Bond recommends that the consultant provide calculations documenting compliance with the regulations. Do you have any problem with that? Yeah, I'd like to give you a chance to.
Yeah, sorry, like I said, it's the first time I'm seeing any of these
Yeah,
comments.
so that's why I'm.
Yeah, and so essentially, this is a very quick calculation that just shows that even when the groundwater is completely mounded under the basin, that the basin can still accommodate storm events and dewater in the time that they're saying it's going to dewater. But just like the last one, we're talking a mound of 2.76 or 1.74 feet, so it's not a huge deal, a little
Okay,
bit
so
of tweaking.
that's one of those that can be worked out in discussion before construction.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I'll, again, get the information and submit it back to him.
Okay, great. Then let's see, I was on page 7. I think I got 27 here. 27 now. Just making this a 27 condition of approval. Ask for this. Project requires the application submit a stormwater pollution prevention plan and erosion and sediment control plan in accordance with section 9, the town stormwaters. You guys responded, asked for this to be a condition of approval, and Ty and Bond says fine.
Sounds good.
Okay, very good. 28, comments closed, so that's been acknowledged, and that is the end of Ty and Bond's comments and discussion. Now, do we have any other comments from Our board members. I know, you was the rule.
You know, I gotta be somewhat surprised. You fellows must be from the city, and you must not do much snow plowing up here around catch basin. Granite curbs around the catch basin? Granite curbs around the catch basin? Tear up a plow blade, just like that. You know, and secondly, I think you need to take a look at this. You've got a plan in front of you that is not really big enough to read. There are no elevations. Let's think basically about Mileck down there. Are we gonna wash them into Route 140? How about the gas station across the street? Where is all this water gonna go? Now, I'm not an engineer, but water still runs downhill. And it's gonna disturb the neighbors. It's gonna disturb the neighbors who have built nice houses back towards Winchendon on Route 140. Ty and Bond did a good job, a damn good job. And I am really surprised to see it, a plan like this, and I'm gonna tell you right up front, it may be 4-1, but I'm gonna be the one against it because I just can't support this. I can't, and I'm not going to. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, very good. All I have to comment in regard to this is just something they handed out tonight, just for reference. We've received all.
Point of order. They're handing this out for approval.
Not this.
Just
This is
reference.
for reference.
Oh,
Just reference.
well,
Yeah.
where's the rest of the stuff? Has the board seen anything else?
I've seen them, I hate to say.
Well, maybe you have, but has anybody else seen anything?
Have you gone
No,
into the
no.
office and
I've
seen
seen
it?
it, I've seen it,
Yes,
I've seen it.
anybody that's gone into the office has seen.
I know, but that's not how it works. It's the plan before the planning board at a published meeting where a vote's gonna take, not something beforehand or over lunch somewhere.
Okay, very good, thank you. And you had one other point that I got hung up on the plan. Okay, do I have any other board members, any other questions of these gentlemen? Mike, if approved, when do you plan to start construction on the roadway? Oh, and,
Well, we would have to, so obviously, we don't own the property yet. The whole purpose of us going through this process, on behalf, I guess, of the Wichita Redevelopment Authority is to actually subdivide it so we could purchase the land. And until we own the property, we can't complete the rest of the geotechnical and other, things that we want to look at on the property to come up with the final design for our proposed building. So we've got a little stretch here before we're even going to start the construction, because we can't start designing on something that we don't own.
I mean, this was just more a
So
curiosity comment.
at best, I would say, if this was to go through, I would say possibly next summer, next fall, you might see some road construction going through, and that's, in today's construction environment, could be next summer, could be a year and a half, 2 years. It's really
Things
depends
change
on.
so quick.
Yeah.
Now, one other one we didn't get to is bond for this. We had spoken to Ty and Bond, and they thought a figure of 1.2 million for a bond on this is not outrageous. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you can get a bond for under $1,000 on something like that. Do you have a figure, or do you have any problem with the bond on that?
Our company is very used to supplying bonds for construction projects of this size and actually much bigger,
Okay,
so we don't have a...
and that's the state's figures on that,
Yep,
So
I
that's
understand.
no problem then, okay, very good. Good, that covers that. Nicole, do you have anything else that you need to bring up with these gentlemen?
I know that under the 53G, Matt, our conservation agent, was going to do a scope of work and send it off to Tim. There has not been an estimate provided to you for that scope of work. So I don't know how you feel about, 53G is something that's requested of the Conservation Commission. is something that the planning board would probably stand behind and recommend as well. So, with that given, I mean, we don't have the estimate, that's the only factor in this. I mean, it could be thousands of dollars, it could be
Yeah, and you're talking about the estimate for strictly just the road construction
for the
itself.
53G project. I don't know what Matt's scope is going to be to tie and bond, but we can certainly submit that off to Tim. Tim can give us an estimate for the 53G and then get it back to you. So it's undetermined as to, at this point, what the cost of the 53G is going to be.
Understood.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Any board members, any more question? Any question from the public? Any comments?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Paul Grazowitz has a question.
Oh, Grass, please come up, introduce yourself, and take a microphone.
You can sit next to me, Paul.
I was just curious about a couple things. What was the road length again?
2,000.
What was the-
feet?
2,000 and what?
350 feet.
Okay. And is this going to be a public road?
No.
No. The
Okay.
driveway.
That's all I want to ask.
Okay, very good. This is almost what, like a condominium type deal, or
HOA.
an HOA, that was a
Okay.
term.
Yep.
Yes. But businesses. And in build-out, how many employees do you expect to employ, hope to employ?
On the lot number 3, the large lot at the end.
Yeah.
Right now, we're in a 100 to 120 employee range, second, 2 shifts, rather.
Okay, and the lot 3 is the one you're planning to develop?
Correct.
First, for the
Yeah, at the
growth
very end of the
facilities.
cul-de-sac and beyond.
Okay, very good. I don't, Tim, do you have any questions, comments?
Nope, nothing else from us.
Okay, and do you have any other questions, comments to, on this that you'd like to ask the board?
No, and I would just like to mention to the planning board, it is our intent, I know that we're asking for a waiver for it, but it is our intent to construct an emergency access to Bemis Road from the cul-de-sac. So if there is an emergency on that street, that we're going to have access to Bemis that would be gated with the key, obviously, to the police and fire department. So this would also solve the problem of Bemis Road itself is a very long dead-end road, and if there's an emergency or, tree falls down halfway and somebody at the other end of the street, that we would be allowing the town to, access that upper end of Bemis through our property as well. As you may know, this will also have security on site, so this emergency gate would be manned, would be under surveillance 24/7.
Well, yeah, because being the type of facility, you do need security on site 24/7.
Yes, yep.
Okay, very good. If nothing else, anything from you, Nicole?
Nothing, just I think it's important that Ty and Bond oversees the project and they go through all their prior construction approvals prior to construction.
And this was, you were talking about the fund
53G.
for that we were just talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
As long as that's in the conditions, it's fine with me.
What's that?
I'm all fine with that. I'm fine.
Okay, very good. If not, I will entertain, if there's no other comments, I will entertain a motion to close the hearing.
I'll make the motion to close the hearing.
Okay, very good. Les Goodrich, motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Second by Arthur Armenta. Okay, unless I have any objection, I will call a vote to close the hearing. This is just a vote to close the hearing, and then we'll discuss whether we approve it or not. Amanda?
Aye, to close the
Les?
hearing.
Aye.
To close the hearing. Mr. Gould? Aye to close the hearing. Aye, Armenta?
Aye.
And the chair, Guy Corpusero, votes aye to close the hearing. Okay, very good. Do we want to discuss and vote on it tonight, right now, or do we want to wait? We can wait up to 90 days, just for note. I am of the fault, I've seen no problems here. I know Mr. Gould has problems, but I don't think, well, we can't take any more information. I pretty well know what I'm going to do. Do we want to go over the waivers and take a vote this evening? If I don't hear any objection, I will start that process. Shouldn't take that long. But now, do you have a list of waivers that they're requesting? Can you go over them?
I can go over them.
Okay.
Well, why don't we go over the waivers after it's voted?
Well, we just want to make sure everybody understands what they're voting on. Because once you voted on it, the waivers don't count.
Why, if suppose it's defeated, you lose all that time.
Well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 waivers requested. That'll be about 2 minutes.
You know how I feel.
That's the normal procedure, so people understand what they're voting on. Otherwise,
I think
reiterate.
everybody understands on this board what they're voting
Well,
on.
you think it are, but let's make sure that everybody does.
Well, that's how I feel.
Okay, very good. We need a waiver for, let me go over these quickly, and then we'll be done. Okay. A waiver for item 1. And I didn't write down why. A waiver for item 1 is the length of the road. Item 2 is bike lanes. They want a waiver from that, so they don't have to do bike lanes. Item 6 is a waiver of the commercial industrial streets requirements. And actually what we have there as our discussion is basically a primary residential street with some modifications to that request. And then number 7 is a condition I put down here, but you'll be listing those when you do the final piece. And number 10 is a waiver, 2 entrances, if I'm not mistaken. Let me get to I don't have that. Number 10, is that the 2 entrances? I thought you mentioned that.
Number 1 was the 2 entrances onto the public
Oh,
way
2
that they
entrances
wish
along
to
with
have
the length
waived.
of the road.
Yeah, and number 10 was the Cape Cod berm and the granite.
The granite
Yep.
on the catch basins. Okay, very good. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 waivers. Okay, do we have any more discussion? I know Mr. Gould expressed his opinion. Does anybody else want to say something?
Didn't they want a waiver on the sidewalk?
Yes, it is, but isn't that contained within,
It's side 3.
what number is that?
3.
3. Okay, my mistake there.
Is that part of the commercial industrial street?
Okay, I missed it. So you're looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waivers, because number 3 is the sidewalks.
Right.
And,
Subdivision regulations.
yes, the right-of-way widths. Number 3 is the one that is basically bringing the road down from a commercial industrial street to a primary residential street requirements. What was number 6? The trees was number 6.
And, yeah, they were going to submit another plan for the trees.
Okay, so number 6 is not a waiver then, it is, waiver for the plan is what it is. Let's see, number 6,
Number 6, you have the 2-inch caliber trees.
yes, I'm just looking at
And it was suggested of Ty and Bond to pick different trees that would thrive.
landscape plan is what they wanted a
Landscape
waiver
plan,
on, waiver on. Not, and they will readjust the trees. But number 6 is a waiver for landscape. Okay. So I think we all understand, and then we know the conditions, the things they have to deal with before construction. We conditioned different items on that, so that's what we'll be voting on.
Yes.
Okay, it's down to crunch time. Do I have a motion to approve the project or a motion to reject the project?
The whole project.
Yes.
What's that? Okay, oh, I see. Well, as being a small board, rules and regulations of small boards, I will make the motion to approve the project. Even though I'm chair, I can do that as a Robert's Rules Small Board regulation.
I'll second that.
Okay, and a second by Mr. Armenta. Hopefully everybody can hear me. I'm not speaking into the mic most of the night, but my hearing aids pick it up, so it sounds very loud, even though I'm not speaking into the mic. Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve this project with the waivers and conditions as discussed. Okay, do I have any other comments? If not, I'll call the roll.
I have a question. So
Sure.
we went through all of this, and I just want to be clear on the process. So we went through and we detailed all this, and what is the follow-up? Ty and Bond holds their feet to the fire to make sure that this is done?
Yes, actually, yeah, Ty and Bond will be more like I wouldn't say owner's rep, but they'll make sure that everything is done, and that's why that fund we were talking about, that these guys are paying for it. So they're paying for themselves to be checked. And does Brian need to make a comment? Or
There's
what?
public oversight by us for all the drainage and water and all that. There's oversight by the town. So it's not, they're not just issued a permit and they go out and do what they want. There's certain conditions that they need to meet, and we work with Ty and Bond or equivalent on a regular basis to make sure that it's installed correctly and there's no issues.
Good, thank you.
Great, great. Okay, if no other questions, I'll call the roll. Amanda? Need to put you on the level first.
I have to go, you started that.
Okay, Mr. Gould, I know how you will vote.
There shouldn't be any doubt in my mind, I'm gonna vote no, with no malice towards these gentlemen over here. I've been around a long time, and we're inventing a lot of problems with the approval of this.
Okay, Mr. Armenta?
Aye.
It has to go back to me.
What's that?
I said, and then it has to go back to me. I'm going to say aye.
Okay, very good. And Les, do you want to vote?
I'll vote aye.
Abstain,
I'll
or-
vote aye.
Okay, very good. And the chair votes aye, so you have your project. Guy
Thank you very much.
Grobusir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully we'll bring revenue, jobs, and all sorts of good things to Winchendon.
Good job, Ty and Bond.
Thank you.
And thank you, Tim. But you're going to hang around anyway, so. Because
She was too busy.
we're all done with them, correct?
We're all done with them. So as soon as Matt sends Tim the scope of work for conservation and gets an estimate back, I'll send it off to you guys for approval. Okay? All right. Thanks so much. You're welcome.
Okay. Let them clean up. What about the A&R? Did you get a word from Brian on that?
Yes, so the A&R, the applicant wishes to withdraw the A&R at this time. He is in the process of selling his home, and they don't wish to subdivide right now, and they wish to
I wish they would have let us know.
withdraw the A&R. Yes, yes, that would have been an important factor.
Yeah.
He's withdrawing. Well, because things change.
Okay, very good. My agenda, I seem to have scooped up in this, but the next item on the agenda is Robert's Way.
Robert's Way.
So do we have an applicant dealing with it? Graz, you are the whole ball of wax?
Paul Grazowitz, Graz Engineering, yep.
Paul's
Okay.
always the whole ball of wax. Very popular guy, Paul.
Okay, very good, Graz. Now, this is a, here we go. This is a continuation of a public hearing for Roberts Way site plan modifications. So I call the hearing open at 7:14. Okay, Paul, please give us a little dissertation on what you're doing, and then we'll go over Tim's comments.
All right, thank you. I brought some, I see you've got them on the screen, which is good. I also brought some extra full-size copies of the grading and utility sheets, if you would, if somebody wants to see grading and things like that.
And there's also a full-size copy over there. He saw those plans.
Or is the screen fine?
There's a screen, you already saw Robert's Way plans.
Yeah, I already have.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
I went down.
All right. So essentially, what you see on the screen there, the 5 buildings to the right on the northeast, those are existing. Those are locked-up storage buildings, and they were completed, I'm going to say, a couple of years ago. I lose track of time, but it went very well. He filled them up very quickly. He put some more, he bought a storage place in Ringe, put some more buildings up there, filled them up. So now he would like to, on this particular lot, 21 Roberts Way, he would like to add 3 more buildings on this particular site here. So the buildings on the west, higher on the site, there's 3 buildings. 2 of them are 200-foot long and kind of narrow, and the wider one in the middle, the 30-foot wide, is 180 feet long. So we would like to put those in, and essentially there's a graded, right now there's a gravel graded road going to the top of this site, and that'll be paved, and the buildings, something new that we just started about maybe less than a year ago. Very hard to grade these sites because these buildings are so long and they're flat. You can't step them. You got to put them in flat. So what they started doing is actually having the buildings sloped. So there's actually, the slab and the buildings are actually sloped at a 1% pitch from end to end, which makes the drainage for these things so much easier. We used to have to make a high point in the middle and try and split the water going each way. Now we don't have to do that. We just tilt the building and the slab and the site, and it works great. The buildings are not very high, so you don't notice, looking at them, you're not going to see a 1% pitch. Doesn't cause any problems. So most of the water is pitching to the south, and we've got roof drains, we've got footing drains, we have a swale, we have some pre-treatment, and then we have a large infiltration basin. You can see that kind of in the middle bottom of the sheet there, and that's where all our stormwater is going. There is a little bit of stormwater that goes to the swale to the north, mainly from the access drive, and that also is going to a stormwater basin at the top of the sheet. And so we received a set of comments. We responded to the comments, and this is the plan resulting from those revisions. We redid the stormwater report. It's about 135 pages of calculations on various things, and inspection and maintenance requirements, and that's it. Essentially, you know, we've the regulations, and not just the stormwater regulations, but the town's stormwater bylaw requires things to be done. So we're treating the stormwater, we're detaining the stormwater, and we're infiltrating stormwater per the requirements.
Okay, very good. Now, I know, I have your review comments here from you. I don't, they were a little bit, late, not late in coming, but right to the wire, so I don't know if Tim's had a chance to look at these, even a day or two. I know we don't have your comments in written form, but will you be able to comment to these as I go through them?
Yeah, actually, didn't I send you those? I thought we responded in writing that, to these comments. It would probably have just been an email. I mean, we issued review comments and he made all the changes, and we didn't have any follow-up comments at that point. The biggest thing was that test pits had to be performed to make sure that the stormwater system works, and the test pits confirmed the assumptions that he made in the stormwater design. So we don't have any, I guess, further comments or any hesitations with anything that was submitted.
Okay, so, I guess, yes,
First got a question.
Mr. Gould.
So
also.
what, Ty and Bond is satisfied with the plan that Mr. Grassowitz has presented?
Correct. Yep.
Good, thank you.
Oh, great, so we don't have to.
So these are the comments from Paul.
No, these are the comments from Paul, but
Yeah.
we don't have the comments
I must have
from you,
missed that in
Tim,
the email chain.
that just say addressed.
Mm-hmm.
But you're giving us here that all these comments have been addressed and there's nothing that you need to discuss with Paul on this.
Correct, yeah, there's no outstanding issues as far as we're concerned.
You get a gold star, Paul, on this one.
Thank you, thank you. It took us a little longer than I thought, but sorry about that.
Oh, don't worry about it.
I went, if I may,
Yeah, oh, Mr.
I went down to take a look, and I'm going to support this, even though the original plans were not always followed to what they should have been. But I want to point something out. That particular property down there is, I won't say it's in a swamp, but almost. They have removed a lot of vegetation, and when you pave something, you show that water is going to run the other way. Bear something in mind, there's only really one drain down there. I don't care what anybody tells you, there is one drain down there. Mr. Grassowitz and I have discussed it. It's on Route 140. It's not a very big one. You should also understand, and perhaps you have never been up there, there's a road in town called Converse Drive. It's in the back of this lot. Now, this particular lot is about 1,000 feet above sea level, and Converse Drive, which is paved and slopes down towards this, is about 1,200. Water still runs downhill. So I'm going to support this, but if you come back again, I'm not going to. I think you've done all down there, Paul, that you can, and I think you realize this too. It's wet, and you better hope that you don't have to come to the town to get a drain opened up on Route 140. You already know what's going to happen there and so forth. There is a drain for this property way down the street, and it goes across 140. It's not a very big one. That entire area, essentially, I won't call it a swamp, I'll just say it's wet. So with that, if a motion is in order, I will move to approve this plan as submitted.
Well, the motion, the first one is to close the hearing.
I didn't even know you opened the hearing.
Yes, I did
Okay,
Every
I
time.
apologize for that.
your motion to close the hearing.
Close the hearing, yep, fine.
Mr. Gould, do I have a second?
Second.
I'll second that, well.
Okay, very good. I do got to do a roll call, Mr. Gould.
Aye.
Art?
Aye.
Wes?
Aye.
Amanda? And the chair votes aye to close the hearing. Okay, now,
I will renew my motion for approval of the
I have a
plan
comment.
as presented here tonight.
okay,
No
very good. Do I
changes.
have a second?
Pardon?
Mr. Gould made the motion. Do I have a second?
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, let's go, Rich. Any comments, questions?
I have a comment. I just have a comment for Paul. I think it's a great job. I think you did it. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Diane Bond the same way. The only thing is, we need it a little bit earlier than what we got today. You understand? I mean, that's the only thing I'd like to see, you know? We need a deadline to get this thing in. And I understand planning board was out sick, and there's not much we could do about that. But, you know, it's,
No, I honestly thought we would have this submitted 2 weeks ago. And like I said, the stormwater, redoing all the calcs, it's 135 pages in that. And it just took way longer than I anticipated, so we didn't get them until last week.
And we understand good people are in high demand.
At least it was a set of plans that was decent and we could understand it.
yeah, it's very good. It's very good, Paul.
Okay, then I'd call a vote. Amanda?
Aye.
Les?
Aye.
Art?
Aye.
Ms. Burt?
Aye.
Since I use first names. Guy Corbisiero, the chair votes aye.
All right,
Do you have your approval?
all right, thank you very much.
Good job.
You're welcome,
Diane
and thank you
Bond.
very much for your time and effort.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Good job, Ty and Bond.
yes. Thank you. So, that's good. And last but not least,
Paperwork, lost.
we have our housing production plan. Presenting will be Karen Chapman and Ryan Delaney from the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission.
I have to make a correction. My last name is
See
Doherty.
ya, Paul.
What's that?
My last name is Doherty, not Delaney. That's okay.
Oh, okay, that's right.
And I'm Karen, not Kim.
Did I say,
You did. It's okay.
you know,
At least
Close
you get the
enough.
K in
everybody
there.
knows me that I just keep screwing things up.
Here, I'll let you guys control this. There you go.
Should I go over next to Nicole? Oh, you got it right there. Perfect. I didn't even think about that. All right. I'll sit on that side. That's fine. Sorry, making you do all the heavy lifting.
Just, we didn't get anybody on Zoom, did we?
No, all we
There
got was
was a couple
Fred
people, but
all we got was Fred Massa.
Who?
Fred Massa, who is the, involved with Hillview.
The what?
Fred Massa's involved with Hillview.
Oh, okay. Ghosts.
There we go.
thank you for inviting us in to give you a presentation on how we're doing on the housing production plan. We were hoping there would be more public here. We've done some.
Do you want to put the mic?
We don't
over
get a
close?
lot of public. You almost have to, if you had offered maybe cookies or beer or something, you might get somebody, but.
So we're gonna give Ryan is gonna give a presentation on the data that we've gathered so far and the survey results.
And just remember, Ryan, you're on TV. This is worldwide.
Oh, yeah, worldwide. Yeah, and, you know, even though that we don't have anyone physically here on Zoom, you know, if anyone has any comments, you know, feel free to reach out to Karen or I. I have my email, my phone number at the end, so, you know, leave a voicemail, leave an email, give any comments you want. Yeah, so right now, so where we kind of are in the process, you know, we did the data collection. We're getting ready to start the draft of the housing production plan. Kayla in our GIS department, she, you know, we submitted the map request to her, so, you know, she will get that done. So just a brief overview of what an HPP is. So a housing production plan is an aspect of 40B, which is a state statute. That it basically incentivizes towns, communities to plan and implement efforts to produce more affordable housing. The basically what they're looking for is 10% of the housing inventory, SHI, to be, considered affordable. And with that, towns are afforded more flexibility and, their decision-making. Winchendon has 8% right now, so.
I missed that. How much percent?
So you want to be at 10% SHI?
Yeah, I understand the 10.
Winchendon's
What do
at
we
8.
have right now?
And then Winchendon is at 8%.
8%.
Yeah, so.
So we need 2 more percent so that we can, say a B40, is it? We can say
Yeah, you can say no to 40Bs.
40B, yeah, okay.
Yes. So, there's a couple aspects to the housing production plan. One of them is a housing needs assessment. Here we look at demographics, housing data, population, and how, and needs, and projections of the population, any constraints and limitations, any mitigation efforts that could be done to support development. And then we, looking at infrastructure capacity for the current population and any of this, future growth that is expected. So some of our foundings, so when it comes to the population, since 1980, the population of Winchendon has increased 48%. But going into 2040, there's only a projected of 4% population increase. That could always change, of course, but those are where the current projections are at.
May I ask a question in regards to that? You have projected increase of only 4%. Is that over that whole span of up to 2040 from now to, or from 2020 to 2040?
Yeah, that's correct.
4%, not 4% per year, but a total of all of 4%.
Exactly.
Because some figures 10 years ago, I had read putting us declining after 2025.
Right,
But
exactly.
now they're saying that, yes, we'll keep going.
If that, yeah, exactly.
I mean, just a clarification, because I was having a discussion about this with somebody the other day about Winchendon's population and its future growth.
Yeah,
So, okay, good.
and I mean, it depends on who you ask, what data sets you're looking at, but, it seems like for now, it's, projected to 4%. So when it comes to the median age of Winchendon, it was an 11% decrease. It was, about 42 years old 11 years ago. Today it's 30, just over 37. And when it comes to the whole age makeup of Winchendon, it's not as simple as saying like, oh, it's an aging population or it's, a population getting younger. The overall population of 65 plus has increased. It was 12% of the population back in 1990. Today it stands at about 15% of the population, so a slight tick up. Young adults, 25 to 34, they were 19% of the population, now they're only 13. So even though the median age has gone down, the young adults outside of that median age are, there's not as many.
They almost seem to contradict themselves when you're putting these figures out. We're getting less younger people and more 65 or older.
Right, exactly. So,
It could be that there's more children moving in, families with children moving in, and that skews the median age down.
yeah, and I don't, this is just kind of my, what I see from it, so take this with a grain of salt, but it seems like the middle age is kind of where it's, where it's heading right now. But, for this, we're just looking at the young adults in the 65 plus community. So when it comes to income, nothing too, outside of what's expected in a town in Massachusetts. The median household income is about 81K, the family income 90, the individual is about 44, and the poverty rate in Winchendon is roughly about 9%. So that's kind of where we stand with the numbers there. So we were also looking at the numbers when it comes to households that are cost burdened. For reference, if a household is considered cost burdened, it's basically paying more than 30% of the gross monthly income that's coming in. So if you are paying a mortgage, it's the P&I, the real estate tax, the different fees that come along with that. And for those who rent, it's pretty much just the rent that comes with that. So 39% of renters in Winchendon are cost burdened. And one thing that was really interesting, so 29% of people who own their house but are paying a mortgage are cost burdened. And also 24% of owners without a mortgage are also cost burdened. So even those people who don't pay that mortgage, about a quarter of them are still facing some sort of burden. Here's some of the property, the property values. These are the surrounding communities, in this general area, just so you can kind of see Winchendon versus the, your neighbors. I don't have to get too into this. It's kind of, it's not really pretty from here, but yeah. And then, so property taxes, everyone's favorite thing to pay. And surprisingly, if you look at Winchendon compared to the surrounding towns, even all the towns in Massachusetts, it ranks in 2022, 321 out of the, 300 and so communities in Massachusetts.
321 out of 356 communities, if I'm not mistaken, in Massachusetts.
Right, and that's just the dollar amount that you pay, so.
So we're pretty cheap, not cheap, low.
Right,
Our
compared to the, yeah.
In other words, it'd be incentive to get people to move here because we have low taxes compared to 326 other communities.
Right, compared to the other Massachusetts
good.
towns, yeah.
So it's a good selling point.
That was, that was surprising to see. And then, the average tax bill is, for each family, $3,663. But it is going up. The change between 2010 and 2022 is about a 43% increase, so, it's still getting higher. Some more findings. This is just from the, the real estate. If you want to see the real estate market right now, there were 30 home sales between, this is according to Rocket Homes, like the Rocket Mortgage website. Past 2 months, about 30 home sales. There were 88 home sales listed in some capacity in the past 2 months. The median sale price over the past 12 months was $317,000 within Winchendon. There's 35 homes currently on the market. That's according to RE/MAX. 4 of those homes were above 500K, 9 homes 400 to 500, and then so on. Of those homes that were sold, 29 of them were single-family homes. There was a mobile home that was sold, and then 5 multifamily homes, so 2+ units. So this is just an example of when it comes to affordability. So if you wanted to get a mortgage, I took a number close to the median, so I just rounded it down to 300,000. So let's just say somebody were to get a mortgage on a $300,000 home, and we were so we said maybe they put a 5% down payment, one of the lower numbers that's possible. So that would be about $15,000 as a down payment, pay about $285 on the mortgage. As of yesterday, the average rate was 7.24% on a 30-year fixed rate. So the monthly mortgage payment would be just shy of $2,000 a month in this case.
Wasn't it 6-something
Yeah.
percent on Monday?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it's been crazy.
up a little bit.
I'm glad I refinanced 6 months ago at 3.5%.
Yeah, that's smart. And then, if anyone's curious where that number is from,
After midterm, they'll straighten out.
what was that? Oh, I thought you were talking to me, sorry. And if you're curious where I got that number, Forbes.com, they always post those numbers. And so outside of the mortgage, property tax, so if it's valued at $300,000, that's a $378 a month tax bill. Homeowners insurance would be about $75. The PMI about $238. So you're looking at a total monthly housing cost in this scenario. It's going to be different for everyone, but about $2,633. So, and if you're curious about like how much somebody would have to make to not be cost burdened to stay under that 30%, it would have to be a household income bringing in $8,700 a month, about $105,000 a year. So. And so when it comes to the income limits, what a fair market rent is, this data is not specific to the town, but more the economic region. Winchendon falls under the Fitchburg-Leominster, housing urban development metro area. So the median family income for this region is about just over $90,000. And then, so this chart on the top, it shows, 3 different categories of, having low income, extremely low, very low. And if you follow the chart, it'll show you, how many people in the family and then how much money you'd have to make to be considered in that limit. And then the chart on the bottom, it shows the different, fair market rents, per bedroom. It shows the difference between the fiscal year '23 and then last year's fiscal year. So the survey closed. We kept it up a little bit longer than we anticipated. We still got decent numbers of respondents, maybe not what we wanted, so that's why we kept it open a little bit. So some questions we asked folks, so how many years they've lived in Winchendon. A lot of people have been here for a long time. We got a pretty decent age range in respondents. And then, for people who aren't on the internet, we gave paper ones, so we got some thank yous for that. How many people live in the household? 2, 3, 4 seems to be the average range. Who else lives in their household? Most people had a spouse in the household. Some people had children over, under 18. 15% lived alone. Most people own their houses in Winchendon. Wasn't too shocking. 15% rent.
These figures are off of the survey.
I'm sorry, could you say that one more time?
Are these figures from your survey?
Oh,
or-
sorry.
Because they don't quite jive with the figures that were earlier as far as
Right,
people
yes.
owning and renting. Okay.
Yeah,
fine.
sorry, I should have made that more clear.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we were at a
So people that are established and own their home are probably were more likely to do the survey than renters, looking at this, if I'm not, just a conclusion I'm making from,
Right, yeah,
okay, thank you.
yeah. And then 60% single-family home, and then, 11% have an apartment, so
How many people participated in the survey?
80.
88?
Just 80.
80?
even,
80.
Yeah. So, I mean, it could have been much worse.
That's not bad, actually, considering,
Yeah,
getting people to do anything is like pulling teeth.
yeah, exactly. I mean, the figure in my head was like, I just want to go to 100, but once I saw 80, I'm like, you know what, that's a good number. One of the questions we asked, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically we asked people, we gave them the definition of cost burdened and asked them, would you consider yourself is your housing situation affordable? Most said yes, about 37% said no. Here are some of the public comments. You can read them. I can also give you a copy afterwards as well. Some of them are kind of long. We just gave people the opportunity to, elaborate on this question. We also asked, how would you describe your ability to meet your monthly housing costs? 45 said that they're able to meet it, somewhat difficult, 21, so, it kind of varied, but it seems like the majority seemed like they're pretty comfortable with it. We gave them the statement, we wanted them to give a response. It is difficult to find affordable housing in Winchendon. Between strongly agree or agree, that's the majority. Still a good amount of people, over 30%, either didn't agree or disagreed, and then, we opened it up for comments on that one as well. People moved here for the affordability. Some people did mention that their rent personally is too high as well. A couple comments saying that. And then, so we gave them a couple, I won't go into this one, it's not really the best to look on PowerPoint, but we told them we asked them to score the following housing types that they think is needed in the Winchendon community, things like affordable housing, low-income housing for senior rentals, low-income family, et cetera, moderate. And so here are kind of the numbers here. Most things, there was a wide variety, but it seemed like in most cases, people either thought that there was a high need or some need for, most of these projects. And then we asked them how open they are to certain types of housing in Winchendon. I won't go over everything again here, but, most people said that they're very supportive or they are supportive of most of these.
So they're supportive of all types of,
Yeah, I mean,
in general.
yeah, I mean, some things people were less supportive of, but, it seemed like for the most part, there wasn't anything that really stood out compared to the rest. Would you or someone would benefit from any of these kinds of housing? Affordable housing, it seemed like most people agreed that they know somebody who could benefit in Winchendon from more affordable housing options, or low-income family rentals, et cetera, et cetera. Here are just some more responses from the public. Are there other, we asked them if there's other housing needs in Winchendon that you would like to see addressed. I picked some of them. This isn't all of the comments, but I just wanted to pick ones that weren't redundant. So, rehabbing houses, somebody wanted more apartments. Somebody wanted to see some nice condos and apartment buildings at a moderate price, like maybe middle income. And then here are just some additional comments. Again, I can provide you with the full comments if anyone has any questions about that. But yeah, that's just some of people's comments that they had for us. And I think, yeah, so discussing the affordable housing goals aspect of it. Sorry about that. So the preliminary goals that we have for right now, looking at strategies for a mix of housing that are consistent with the needs of Winchendon. And then, so if you want to do the math, so if So numerical goal for annual housing production is at least 0.5% of the total units, so you're looking at about 22 units a year.
Would you go over that last little bit of information again?
The one about the
Numerical
annual,
growth for annual housing production is at least 0.5% of its total units. We have A equals 22 years. So
22 a year.
what?
22 units per year.
Oh, 22 units per year
Right, yeah.
is
So-
what the goal, to do 22 new units a year.
Right, so DHCD, the Department of Housing and Community Development, who tracks your subsidized housing inventory, if you say in your housing production plan that we're gonna do 5% and you actually do the 5% in a year, you can apply to them for certification, and you get certification for a year to say no to a 40B. If you were to do 1%, you'd have 2 years to say
So
no.
that's another way
It's another way
to hold
to,
off 40Bs.
right, right,
Not just the 10%, but if you're consistently doing this.
right, right.
Okay.
And then here are the preliminary recommendations. You know, this is just kind of the first draft of those. But pretty much identify any potential zoning changes to meet these goals, you know, looking into things like accessory dwelling units, multifamily housing options, evaluating the dimensional requirements for things like infill, non-conforming lots, identifying any potential parcels, if you know, for a 40B development, if that's the route the town wants to go in, any private large private parcels as well, which is basically what a 40B is. Identify any potential town-owned parcels for development, you know, parcels for feasibility, explore nonprofit developers' developments. Review or evaluate Chapter 61 parcels that have the potential for housing. And then one other thing we need to look at is evaluate the water and sewer infrastructure for housing potential. You know, I'm not sure, is Winchendon, is it
It's a
septic?
mix. It's mostly, yeah, I think we'd say mostly septics and wells. It's a mix of everything.
It's a mix
Every
of
type.
everything, okay.
Do you have maps of those?
DPW does, yes.
Okay, so we can contact him?
Yes, you can
Okay.
contact Brian.
Thank you.
Great, that'll be,
Yeah, he was the guy sitting over there.
Oh,
Okay.
that's right, I forgot.
all right then. And so, you know, the next steps that we're taking is just to, complete the plan. You know, we have all the data collection, all that stuff. You know, now we're tasked of putting it all together, getting any additional comments or feedback anyone else has. You know, and then from there, once we get the draft ready, we get the final product ready, we'll get approval from you folks, the Board of Selectmen, and then it's off to DHCD. Do you have anything else to add, Karen, that I missed?
No, that's.
What do you feel your timeline is for completion of the plan?
So the contract goes till December 31st.
Okay, so
So-
you'll have it,
We're hoping to have the draft to you by then.
okay. And then we just need to get approval.
Right, so you would review the draft, give us any comments back. If there's other entities that you want us to give it to, like if you have a housing authority, you have a committee, you have anybody that's involved with housing, if you want us to give it to them to read as well, that would be great, as much input as we can get.
I think it's
have you
interesting that you're doing this plan and you haven't contacted the housing authority yet
Yeah.
or involved them in it as a solution.
I mean,
Like, you listed out all the solutions, but you didn't have anything like a plan with the housing authority, which we do have in town.
That's part of the contacting local representatives, so we'll contact the DPW for the sewer and water infrastructure. We'll contact the housing authority for any plans that they have that we can put in the plan, or any ideas that they have, or anything.
And I just want to clarify.
You have
you're
three
looking-
people here.
Yeah, you
that
got
are
three
part of-
people here.
I just have a quick comment for that. you know, and so these preliminary recommendations, they're pretty much just, you know, the bare bones of what's expected from a housing production plan. So, you know, of course, we're not gonna, you know, have the final recommendations without reaching out to them. You know, we just haven't got to that point yet.
But you have 3 people sitting on this board right now that are involved in the housing authority.
Oh, nobody told us that.
But you're doing a housing plan in town, isn't that like one of the first things? you-
Amanda, did you get the housing production plan that I had emailed to you?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
but I haven't heard from.
yeah, you haven't heard
Go
from them.
ahead, Bert. Go ahead.
Yeah, for the survey. Mhm.
Bert's got a question.
Talking to DHCD is like talking to the Pope on Sunday Mass. Well, you can sit there and laugh, but it's not so funny. I appreciate what you people do. You're good at the figures, and I have no quarrel with it. But there is a housing authority in town. You might want to talk to them. We own 250 apartments, probably more than most towns of 10 to 12,000, so forth. There are places in town that need to be rehabilitated, taken for taxes. Like I say, try talking to them. I mean, it just doesn't work. We're way out here in the sticks, and you people know this. They don't give a damn. They honestly don't. You know, we have come up with all kinds of ideas and so on and so forth, and we know what we're talking about. There's 3 of us on this board that are involved. You know, and I've been on the board since 1962.
Wow.
So, you know, for point, we're willing to sit, you come up and see us, 108 Ipswich Drive, and I'll make sure that Amanda greets you at the door, because she works there. You know, come and see us. We'd like to have you come up with, you know, with a lot of ideas and so forth, and we are more than happy. We have waiting lists up there as long as my arm.
I believe it.
Okay, you know, and we have people up there in our elderly projects that are in their 90s. We run a very tight ship, and we make some money at it. Not too many people do. But the thing of it is, I've never seen you people up there. I don't think you've ever come. So come up and see.
The contract's not over yet, Mr.
Huh?
Mr. Gould.
Well, I know.
I
but
just
how
told
long
you
you
we're-
been at- How long you been at it? Quite a few years.
Quite a few years. I can't speak for anybody
Oh, okay,
before
you
me.
know, but your organization down there, and I can remember when it started, because I was a selectman when it was. You know, we heard the same story. You people do a good job, you really do. I don't fault you for your figures, but you need to get a box of matches and light a little fire, because that's what it's gonna take. And I'm not the only one, basically, because some of your neighboring titties down there, maybe not Leominster, but Pittsburgh and some of the rest of them can use some help too. I'm rather familiar, especially with the Pittsburgh situation. So come up and see us. We would be happy
That's why I wanted to bring it up.
to get part of any program, and I think I could speak for the member here and so forth. Glad to help.
Well, we will be reaching out to you, and like I said, other town people who know information. This is just how we work. We have,
Yeah.
you know, 25 projects going on with, you know, 22 communities.
Haven't seen you. Haven't seen you.
I apologize if you thought I should be there in February, but this is how we work, and this is
You
how
probably
we
have
schedule our work.
25 projects, and you probably had 20 of them basically you wish you didn't have because you don't have the funds.
We have the funds, we just don't have the time.
Well, we've got the time and we've got the people. So, before you go, I'm gonna give you a telephone number, and you give Mr. Connor a call tomorrow. We'll
When-
make sure you get there.
When we were here in May, why didn't any of you speak up about that?
Pardon?
When we were here in May, talking about this,
Yeah?
no one said, hey, I'm on the Housing
Well,
Authority.
no, you're right, because we wanted to see what you did.
Oh, That's so disrespectful. I'm sorry, Mr. Gould.
Well, you know, hey, name of the game. I've been there a long time.
I'm
You
gonna-
know, and we've heard all those stories. Mr. Goodrich has heard the same thing. He's on the board with me. You know, and Mrs. Phillips works there, and we've heard more stories from the feds and from the state that you can shake a stick at. So, you know, come on up and see us. Let's see if we can get together.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, I'll give you the number before you go.
So Karen, you want to contact the Winchton Housing Authority?
Yes.
Yeah, and you'll get Amanda. Okay,
Okay.
all right. And she'd be happy to point you in the right direction.
Okay. I've got a question. Could you just mention what 40B is? Because we've been commenting and people are watching on TV.
Are
40B
they?
allows them to skirt our local regulations
Okay.
or something like that.
So 40B is a state statute that allows developers to come into a community and build affordable housing and regular market rate housing. The rule is if they want to develop without following all of Winchendon's zoning bylaw, they have to do at least 20% affordable in their development. And this is set by the state. And so the affordable homes have to be at least 80% of area median income. So your median income was 90,800. So whatever 80% of that is, I can't do the math that quick in my head. So people would have to make less than that amount to be eligible for those affordable
It would be
units.
advantageous to the town to be at 10%. That way,
You can say no to a 40B.
40B or, yeah.
Because the
So
thing
they
with
have to follow our
40B,
regulations.
you know, 40B has been controversial since it's been in existence, because a developer can come in and disregard any of your zoning and do what they want.
Right.
And so that's why it's so
Yeah, just to
controversial.
give people an understanding why there is concern about
Right.
40B projects.
And there's also a path that you can do a friendly 40B where the town initiates it with a developer, and that's a much better process, but you still have to follow the 20% affordable rule.
And how long do they have to keep the units at the 20% affordable with a 40B? Is there like a time limit that they can age out of it and then charge market rent?
The minimum is 30 years, but in perpetuity is ideal. And it has to be a deed restriction that's registered with the Registry of Deeds, and, you know, it has to be tracked. The town has to submit the information to DHCD. Do you have any other questions about 40B?
Yeah, that, just
Does
for
it
people
cover
that
it?
watch it on TV, you know, so they know what we're talking about, Karen. Okay, so, now you have ID potential town-owned parcel. So, where did we leave off here, before I interrupted with my question?
Oh, are you at the end?
Yeah, he was at
Oh, he's at the end.
Okay, you were at the end.
So when we say ID potential town-owned parcels for development through an RFP, if you have town-owned parcels, you can put out an RFP to in hopes to get a developer to do what you want on the parcel. And obviously, you would want affordable housing. You can reach out to nonprofit developers. You can go look at other nonprofit developments in other communities that you like. One thing I've been recommending to towns, it's not very popular because Chapter 61 is typically purchased by a town for open space or recreation. I have the opinion that if there's land within that Chapter 61 that could be good for housing, you split it off, do some housing, and the rest is open space. You know, Chapter 61 doesn't come along very often, so you should evaluate whether you want it to be open space or would it be great for housing. If the location is great, you know, it's close to town. And then, I don't know, can you go back to the previous one? No. no, the next one, that one, yeah. So the zoning changes, we're gonna look at your zoning bylaw to see if you have accessory dwelling units. And if you do, if there's any changes we could make to that. If there's any other zoning that's prohibitive to multifamily zoning, we would look at that and recommend that. So these are some of the things that we look at. These are sort of generic recommendations that are put out by DHCD, and then we evaluate all the things within the category.
Okay, yeah, that's what.
And then we just have contact information here, so, just feel free to contact us with any comments or questions that anyone may have.
Wait, could you go back one? Oh, never
Oh,
mind.
no, sorry about that.
Never mind.
No, so sorry about that, I jumped the gun.
No, it was just the, from here. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah. So the next step is you, besides getting a hold of rural housing, not rural housing, the Housing Authority tomorrow and Dave Connors to get input from them. The next step is
To write the plan.
to write the plan.
So-
So the next time we'll see you is when you give us the plan or hear from you.
The planning board, yes.
Yes, okay, yeah. Or
Yeah,
Nicole, yeah.
I apologize, Mr. Gould. We just have a lot of projects, and this is,
I'm aware of this, I know what you go
Okay.
through. You
Okay.
know, I've been at it a while too, and, hey, but, we try. But, I should point out, we own everything that we have. We don't lease or anything.
that's fantastic.
And,
A lot of towns can't say that.
far ahead of most everybody around here. Templeton has 60 units, we have 250. We've worked at it, but doing business with these people is extremely difficult. And I'm sure you people understand it. So I can appreciate your time, and I'm sorry you had to wait so long here tonight and so forth and so on. But I'm glad you came, because the door is gonna be open up there on 108 Ipswich Drive as of 8 o'clock tomorrow morning for you people to get in. I can guarantee it.
Well, we won't be there tomorrow because we'll be in Westboro for
It's okay,
training.
that's fine, but just so you know, as a matter of public record, and you're on local television, so the whole town has seen you on the boob tube, that we expect to see you up there shortly.
All right.
Because it'd be a learning experience, because I think we have one of the best housing authorities
Yeah,
in the state.
That's great.
Lack of,
So how many housing production plans have you written?
pardon?
How many housing production plans have you written?
Oh, good Lord, I can't tell you how many, but that's essentially
Over the
basically-
years, they changed it, right?
Many,
Yeah.
many.
Want to thank you for your presentation. It was a great presentation.
great presentation.
Thank you very much.
Make you
Yes,
wait,
thank you.
Karen, Brian, but
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming.
okay.
Put that
If
in your
if Karen and Brian are all done,
Yeah, then we may adjourn.
anything else?
No, nothing else.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Thank
Make a
you,
motion to
Karen.
adjourn.
Thank you, Ryan.
Last second. Mr. Gould? Aye.
Adjourned.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Les?
Aye.
Becca? Aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye, and we are adjourned. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
I have a